The thrilling story begins by showing two couples, Andy and Vic. They put their very young daughter, Charlie, into a room and move to another side. However, after they leave, we discover that Charlie is not an ordinary child. She has abilities that allow her to ignite anything she looks at. Using this power, Charlie continuously sets fire to the clothes near her swing. Before long, the fire becomes intense, so Vic rushes to the scene to save his daughter. He picks her up and takes her far away, but Vic doesn't react at all, as he already knows that his daughter has some powers. Years pass, and we see a video of Vic and Andy, revealing that they are not ordinary people either. Just like their daughter Charlie, they possess supernatural powers. Vic has the ability to manipulate people by looking into their eyes, controlling them and making them follow his instructions. Meanwhile, his wife Andy has the ability to float any object, no matter how large, in the air. When scientists learned about these people, they wanted to find more individuals with similar abilities. They began experimenting on many humans, but many of them died in the process, and those who survived had their mental balance severely disrupted. Vic and Andy have managed to avoid these experiments and live a normal life because they did not want any illegal experiments conducted on their family members. We then see Vic trying to hypnotize a lady to remove certain memories from her mind. The lady had a smoking addiction and had come to get rid of it. Vic uses his ability to erase the memories of smoking from her mind. Within a short time, the lady is completely cured. The lady did not have any craving for cigarettes at all. She gave Vic some money and left. After she left, a small amount of blood started to come from Vic's eyes. This reveals that the more Vic uses his ability, the more it affects his body. However, he did all this for his family, and he earned a bit of money helping people, which he used to support his family. Now, there was a heated argument between Vic and Andy, where Andy was insisting that they should teach their daughter Charlie how to control her powers and how to manage them around people. But Vic, shouting at his wife, argued that Charlie was still a child and would learn these things with time. There was no need to force anything on her right now. This disagreement caused increasing tension between them. We then see Charlie at school, where she was having a good time with the other kids. However, one of the children was torturing her from behind and hitting her. This made Charlie very angry, but she remembered her mother's advice not to use her powers in front of other kids. Out of frustration, Charlie went straight to the restroom, turned on all the faucets, and let the water flow down. She then used her power to set the water on fire, trying to minimize the impact. Before long, the entire restroom was engulfed in flames. When Charlie didn't come out for a long time, her teacher went to check on her. Despite calling out for Charlie repeatedly, Charlie remained enraged. When the door was opened, there was a huge explosion, causing a fire to spread everywhere. The blast was so powerful that it completely destroyed the restroom. After this major incident, Charlie's parents, Andy and Vic, were called in to meet with the principal. The principal and the teacher thought that Charlie had brought a big bomb into the restroom and caused the explosion. They were unable to expect such behavior from a student in their school, so instead of giving Charlie a warning, the principal decided to expel her from school. When they returned home, Andy and Vic were very angry about the situation, but Vic was also deeply troubled. He was gathering all their belongings because they needed to leave as soon as possible. After the big explosion, the scientists might have realized that they were there, and if they were caught, they would face very strange experiments. Vic wanted his family to move far away and stay safe. Andy and Vic were arguing intensely, each blaming the other for the situation. When Charlie saw them fighting, she approached and said that maybe everything was happening because of her and that she was the reason for their arguments. However, Andy tried to reassure her that it wasn't her fault. Since Charlie had learned about her abilities, she had become even more enraged. Out of anger, she emitted fire from her body, which also caught Andy's hands. Fortunately, Vic was standing nearby and quickly came to put out the fire. He immediately provided first aid to his wife and completely healed her. We then see Jane, a head member of the organization of those scientists, who was a new manager tasked with finding people with similar abilities. When she learned about the incident, she instructed a gangster named Rainbird to quickly kidnap Charlie and her entire family. Rainbird accepted the offer because he was offered a substantial amount of money. He went directly to Charlie's house, but Vic and Charlie were out getting ice cream, leaving only Andy at home. Rainbird arrived in front of Andy, looking very powerful, as he had some abilities like the others. Rainbird immediately asked Andy where Charlie and her husband were. Andy, wanting to protect her daughter, did not reveal anything. Because she didn't provide any information easily, Rainbird captured her and used his ability to read her mind, discovering that Andy's husband, Vic, was out with Charlie and would return shortly. Therefore, Rainbird decided to wait there for a while, but Andy was not going to stay calm. Using her ability, Andy kept throwing various things at Rainbird. Rainbird's mind became extremely heated because of Andy, so he grabbed her by the throat and started choking her until she became unconscious. Andy fell completely unconscious. Shortly after, Vic returned to the room with his daughter, Charlie. As Vic was distracted, Rainbird suddenly appeared in front of Charlie and captured her. Vic pleaded with Rainbird not to harm his daughter while also searching for his wife, Andy, who was nowhere to be seen. Rainbird simply stated that Vic's entire family would have to come with him to the research center. Vic was willing to agree to this to protect his family, but Charlie was not inclined to listen. Using her powers, she started spreading fire everywhere, which caused a cabinet to open, revealing her mother's dead body inside. Charlie could not bear this at all, so she began attacking Rainbird with all her power. Rainbird could not withstand such intense powers and fell backward. Charlie spread so much fire that the entire house caught fire and was completely destroyed. Vic managed to escape with Charlie, as it was the only way to save his daughter. He would definitely seek revenge for his wife, who had been killed brutally by Rainbird. Next, we see Jane, the manager of the scientists, who was continuously pursuing Charlie. She went to meet with a senior scientist named Joseph. Jane told Joseph that she had located Charlie and that they needed to find her quickly and create more people like her to form an army with various powers. The last time, the government found out about their activities, which led to the closure of their organization. However, this time, everything was proceeding according to plan. Therefore, no one could now stop them from succeeding in their plan. However, Joseph tried to reason with Jane, saying that she was making a huge mistake. He argued that they should end all these activities and live a normal life, otherwise, it could become very dangerous for everyone. If the people with these powers went out of control, it would be extremely difficult to stop them. But Jane seemed not to understand this and was determined to gather people like Charlie to build her army. Joseph's simple idea was to eliminate all remaining powered individuals to prevent future problems. But Jane had sent several of her men to capture Charlie and Vic. We then see Vic and Charlie moving toward the city, as it was the only place where they might be safe. On the way, they encountered an old man named Madrasa, who was driving a car in the opposite direction. Vic spoke to Madrasa and managed to get a ride to the city. Madrasa then took them to his home and suggested they stay the night, as it was already quite late. Vic and Charlie accepted his offer and went to his house. Madrasa was very kind to them, as if he already knew them. While Vic sat in one place, Charlie wandered around the house, exploring what was inside. When Charlie reached the basement, she saw Joseph's wife, Izzy, who was in a coma. Vic also learned about this from Joseph, who explained that his son had died in an accident and his wife, Izzy, had been in a coma ever since. He had been taking care of her since then. Vic didn't understand why Joseph was hiding them in the basement. He considered it a dangerous accident and dismissed it. Meanwhile, the news reported that Vic had killed his wife and fled with his daughter, showing a photo of him. Therefore, anyone who saw them should inform the police, and a substantial reward was offered for capturing Vic. When the old man Madrasa saw this news, he was very angry. Despite Vic's attempts to explain that the news was false, Madrasa did not believe him. Vic tried to explain that the police were after him and his daughter to experiment on them, but Madrasa refused to listen. At that moment, Charlie arrived and revealed that the car accident was caused by Madrasa himself. She explained that he was very angry and arguing with his wife Izzy while driving, which distracted him and led to the accident that killed his son and put his wife into a coma. She claimed that Madrasa was entirely responsible for the accident, and if he hadn't been angry, none of this would have happened. Madrasa was shocked to hear that Charlie knew all this. Vic then explained that both he and his daughter had strange powers that allowed them to read and manipulate people's thoughts. The police officers, who were connected with the scientists, wanted to experiment on his daughter, which was entirely illegal. After this explanation, Madrasa finally understood and agreed to help them. However, Madrasa had already called the police after seeing the news, and they would arrive soon. But he promised that he would rescue Vic and Charlie and help them escape. Madrasa instructed Vic and Charlie to hide and forbade them from coming out. Soon, the police arrived and surrounded the area. Madrasa went outside and claimed that he had been drinking and had mistakenly called the police, saying he had seen criminals but insisting that no one was there. The police didn't believe Madrasa and insisted on searching the entire house. Meanwhile, in the distance, among the bushes, Rainbird appeared with a sniper rifle in hand. Rainbird immediately used his sniper to shoot at the police officers, as he wanted to capture Charlie alone. When Rainbird shot Madrasa in the legs, he screamed in pain. Charlie couldn't tolerate this and used her fire powers to blast the entire area. She quickly went to help Madrasa. When Vic came out, he saw Rainbird approaching with the intention to attack them. Vic told Charlie to escape the area as quickly as possible while he dealt with Rainbird and kept him away. Charlie fled towards a nearby forest, while Vic used his powers to manipulate Rainbird's vision, making it appear as though Charlie had disappeared, to prevent him from harming her. However, Rainbird had considerable powers of his own and managed to see through Vic's manipulations and started attacking him. Vic could clearly see Charlie running away, and just as he was about to pull out his sniper, Jen's team arrived. They captured both Vic and Rainbird and took them to Jen's headquarters. Jen threatened Rainbird, saying she would kill him and imprison him for failing to capture Charlie. Rainbird, however, insisted that Charlie wouldn't be able to live without her father. He had made it so that she would be drawn to this location because Vic and Charlie's powers were connected, and she would come here on her own. Rainbird revealed that Charlie possessed all the powers of the mutants, making her a sort of queen of the mutants who would become extremely powerful in the future. Therefore, he had abandoned any plans to kill her, advising Jen not to try to kill Charlie because if she went out of control, she could destroy everything. Jen then went to Vic and told him to call his daughter Charlie to this place because she was currently unstable. Charlie was incredibly frustrated as her father had also been captured. She recalled her father's advice that she needed to learn to control her powers, otherwise, she could endanger herself and her loved ones. Determined, Charlie focused and began learning to use her powers effectively. Although she hadn't trained extensively, she was gradually improving. After several hours of intense training, Charlie finally gained some confidence and was ready to save her father. Since Vic and Charlie's minds were connected, Vic was guiding Charlie about his location and how she could rescue him. Charlie, now full of confidence, emerged from the forest and entered the organization's facility where her father was being held captive. On her way, she encountered an employee whom she manipulated to get into the facility. She demanded the employee's ID to gain access to the facility. However, the employee soon realized that Charlie was the person being searched for and drew his gun on her. Charlie, enraged, used her powers to incinerate the employee. Taking his biometrics and cards, she quickly proceeded to the entry level, where she easily gained access to the facility. She hurriedly went inside to find her father. After searching for a while, she finally found Vic on the other side of a glass partition. Charlie approached her father and urged him to find a way to escape. To help them both escape, Charlie approached her father, urging him to leave. However, Vic, seeing his daughter, warned her that the place was very dangerous. Charlie retorted that Vic had manipulated her into coming here. Vic then realized that Jane must have used his manipulation powers to make Charlie believe he was calling for her help, which wasn't the case at all. Jane had orchestrated this deliberately. Jane appeared from behind Vic and said that Charlie had arrived, and now she could capture her and proceed with her experiments. Vic tried to convince Charlie to leave immediately to avoid danger. But Jane declared that the facility was completely locked down, no one could exit without her permission once inside. This increased the tension, and Vic directly told his daughter that he had always stopped her from using her powers, but this time he wanted her to use all her powers to destroy the facility. Charlie, extremely angry, began to unleash her fire powers. Jane warned her that if she did so, her father would be burned to death along with the facility. This confused Charlie, and she hesitated, not wanting her father to be harmed. With her mother already dead, Vic, in a desperate attempt to save his daughter from being tortured, manipulated Charlie's mind to force her to attack Jane. As Charlie attacked Jane, Vic began to burn. Both Vic and Jane perished in the facility's fire. Charlie, overwhelmed with anger, tried to escape the facility but found that all exits were locked. To escape from this place, only Jane's permission was required. Charlie, enraged by these circumstances, focused intensely. As a result, all the locks in the facility automatically opened, including the cell where Rainbird was imprisoned. Charlie, making her way out of the facility, encountered several soldiers who attacked her, but she defeated them all using her powers, incinerating them with fire. No one could withstand Charlie's strength, despite the soldiers having weapons, which proved ineffective. As Charlie advanced, she faced more people wearing firefighting suits to protect themselves from her flames. However, the suits rendered her fire ineffective. Just as the soldiers advanced, Rainbird appeared from behind and shot them all, ending their threat. Rainbird and Charlie faced each other, and for some reason, Rainbird knelt before Charlie. Charlie was furious with Rainbird because he was partly responsible for her mother's death. Although she wanted to burn Rainbird with her powers, she eventually calmed her anger and left the facility. Charlie used her powers to completely destroy the facility, causing massive explosions. Afterward, she went to the edge of a river and cried deeply, mourning the loss of both her parents and feeling alone. Unsure of how to continue her life with her powers, Rainbird approached her and offered companionship, stating that they shared similar powers and he understood her. Charlie decided to trust Rainbird and went with him. Thus, Rainbird would become her guardian, teaching her to control her powers. Charlie had found someone who could protect her, and together they embarked on a new journey. And so, our story ends here.